Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new, and happy 2018. I am aware at the time of filming this we're on the 8th of January, so I'm already over a week into the new year, but this is the first chance I've had to actually sit down and film. And I wanted to kick off with my 2017 favourites for you. I know you will have seen probably hundreds of these across YouTube from various other bloggers, but it is one of my favourite videos to watch. I love being able to see not just someone's monthly favourites, but what's really made it as, you know, a standout for the whole year. So I love watching them, so I was hoping that you'd love watching them, so I want to film my one. Now there's a few different ways of doing it. Some people like to do favourites that have been released in 2017. Some people like to just do their favourites. I'm going with the latter, so this isn't things that have necessarily been released this year. A couple of them are, but on the whole it's things that have just been my most reached for products of 2017. I've tried to pick one for each category. I'm just trying to see if there's any categories I might have missed. There might be, but I think there's one for most things, and these are things that I absolutely love and would be probably my favourite of my whole collection. So I'll start in order they go on my face. So I've got 3 primers, but I'm not cheating. One is for pores, one is for sort of more all over your face, bit of glow, and one is for eyelids. If you watch regularly, I don't think these will be a surprise to you. So the Becca Backlight Priming Filter would be my favourite primer of the year in terms of an all over glow, makes the skin look flawless, makeup sits on top, it never rolls or sort of like product pills or anything like that. Really love this. They did bring out, and I do think this was last year, but this is why I never do favourite release products. I can never remember if it was last year or if it was the end of the year before. It all kind of merges to one, but they brought out the sort of lilac coloured one, which I got a little sample of and I did like, but I haven't used enough to say, you know, whether I love it more. But this one I reach for time and time again, so that's from Becca. Love that. In terms of fulfilling the pores, it would have to be my Nars Pro Prime Instant Line and Pore Perfector. So this is just in like a little twist up, and you just draw it on. For me, it's always around here where I have enlarged pores, and that's been a favourite. I used to love the original one that was in sort of a little tub before that, and I do like this just as much, and I prefer it to things like Benefit Professional or a couple of the other ones that I've tried, so that would be my favourite for pores. And then as a primer for my eyes, I mean, no surprises, I never deviate. It's the Nars Pro Prime Smudge Proof Eyeshadow Base. I do love the Urban Decay ones, I have got one and I love it, but this would be my all-time favourite from Nars. So that's my 3 primers, technically not cheating as they all do something different. Right, for base, again, no surprise, this has been a favourite for years now, and it's the RMK Creamy Foundation. It is now in a bottle, not a pot, and I've got, I mean, this one, if you can see, I don't know if you'll be able to, is almost empty, so I will be getting obviously a new bottle and therefore the new packaging. But because it is my favourite, I have this in 3 different shades, and so it does last me a long time. It is very high coverage, so I don't use it on a daily basis. This I tend to save. When I say for special occasions, it's not so much the price point, it's quite similar price to any other sort of, you know, high-end foundation. I think it's about £30, something like that. So it's not like, oh, it's a £70 foundation like La Mer or anything. It's just that it's very high coverage, and I don't need that on a day-to-day basis. But if there was any event, anything where I'd be wearing my makeup for a long time, anything where I really wanted to look flawless, this would be my foundation of choice. As I say, it just doesn't come in this pot anymore, but RMK definitely wins for foundation. Then for concealer, I've done 2, but one is technically a colour corrector. So the Tarte, the name is so long, Coloured Clay CC Under Eye Corrector from Tarte. I mean, mine is riffy. I need a new one, and I have the shade light to medium, and I use this under the eyes before concealer just to cancel out the dark circles before then going in with concealer. I've not used it today. As you can see, other than a dark lip, I've got not much makeup on, so I've been at work all day and just wanted to get this filmed, but if I was again going to an event or anything like that, this is just my number one. I've got quite a few other colour correctors. I've got a nice, you know, couple of from Bobbi Brown. I've got the Maybelline sort of brightening under eye corrector. I've got one from Kiehl's. I've got one from Becca. I've probably got about another 5. I've got a collection one, but this is by far the standout for the colour corrector for me. The only one I haven't tried that I'd love to is the Urban Decay Naked colour correctors. That one's had great reviews, but other than that I've tried most of them, and this is my number one. So definitely that. Then this I think will come as a surprise to a lot of you, but I think my concealer, if I had to pick one, would be the Maybelline Super Stay Better Skin concealer, and the reason for this is that it's the most versatile. I probably have got a couple of others that I prefer more for different things, whereas if I needed to pick one that I would happily use under my eyes and on blemishes, you know, and for a bit of extra coverage over redness, and you know, under the brow bone to define it for all different purposes, this would be my most sort of versatile, and especially at the price point. I couldn't tell you the exact price, but I'm guessing something like £6.99 maybe, so that would be my favourite concealer of the year. Then I will go to bronzer. Again, I've got 2, but they're very different categories. So I've picked a powder bronzer, which I've loved, I would say, for the second half of the year. I discovered this. It was new out, really similar to the Hourglass bronzers. I do like the Hourglass bronzers, don't get me wrong. They probably, to a certain extent, are a little bit nicer, but this would still be the one that I'd reach for. I just think, you know, for the price, it's £9.99, it's amazing. I love the colour, I love how it lasts, I love how it blends, I love the glow that it gives to the skin. So I just found no reason to always go for my Hourglass palette, so I would just always stick to this. It's so creamy, it's beautiful. So that's my sort of powder bronzer of choice. Then for cream, liquid, any other sort of texture, it has to be the Nars Laguna liquid bronzer. This blends just flawlessly. I like to use it a few pumps on the back of the hand, dab my beauty blender in, and then actually just bop it all over the skin. I sort of tend to go with that sort of figure of 3, and then, you know, blend a little bit out if I need to. My sister likes to use it just sort of almost mixing a foundation to darken it, which I would do if I'd got a bit of a tan and need to darken it. But on the whole, I tend to just use the right shade foundation and then add, you know, a little bit of depth and a little bit of sort of, you know, that sort of, not necessarily contour, but just a bit of definition back to the face with the bronzer rather than that blanked out canvas. And this is definitely the winner. My only downside is, I don't know if you can hear that, it is an absolutely solid bottle, so for travelling it's just not practical, so I don't tend to bring it with me, even on just overnight stays or, you know, weekends in the UK, because I just feel like it could break things in the makeup bag. So that's my only downside to that bronzer. Then for contour, this is 100% number one ever contour product that I've used. Bearing in mind I only got this on November the 11th, and I know the exact date because the makeup artist that was doing my sister's makeup had ordered it for me, and I got it that day. And that is literally only 2 months of 2017, yet this wins by far. So it's this little sponge foamy thing. You twist the end of it, it's a bit grubby so I won't do it, but you twist it to open it, you squeeze some out like you would like a lip gloss, and it comes onto here. Just dab it on the face and then either blend it in with your fingers, with a brush, with a beauty blender, whatever you prefer. I just love it. I really love the way it blends. I love the finish. I think it's £29, and that is an absolute, probably one of my favourites of the year. Then, highlighter. Again, I've done 2, but I'm not cheating. One's cream, one's powder. So the more creamy formula, liquidy formula would be the YSL Glow Shot in the shade. There isn't a number on it, but I'm sure you'll be able to tell because one's pink and one is, can't remember the other colour. I don't know if it's like a bronzy colour or a silver one, but they're very different in the tube. There's only one shade that looks like this. I love this, although I tend to apply this under foundation, almost a bit like a primer, but only on the places that I would want it, and then I'll just dab a tiny little bit on the top. But I really like the way it looks and the way it comes through your foundation. Sometimes I even mix a blob into my foundation, so that is a very, very firm favourite. And this one, I've got to apologise, it's limited edition, you can't buy it, but it is by far my favourite highlighter ever, maybe. Can I say ever? That's a really bold statement. I'm going to have to be careful because you witnessed this live on camera when the actual colours came out, but this is the eyeshadow highlighter palette from Nars, and you get 4 highlighter shades and 2 contour. I love the contour, but these highlighters are incredible, absolutely incredible. This one has been my most used, and then this one and this one. This one I don't use as much, it's better when I've got a tan, but it is quite a dark colour. It's quite similar to Becca Champagne Pop. I don't want to tilt it too much because last time this one fell out and broke. I don't know if you can see the crack there. It is called, I don't know if it will help you because it's limited edition, but the Board de Plague palette, and it's this beautiful packaging, and this is one of my favourite purchases of the whole year, and I'll stop going on because you can't buy it, but that had to win, I had to be honest with you. Powder, I should have done a little bit earlier. There wasn't really an absolute standout amazing favourite for all over. I really love the Charlotte Tilbury powder, I do, but I also really enjoyed one that I'd got from Topshop, and I use that quite a lot. And then I've got a couple of loose powders. I've got a Max Factor one that I've loved, no, Maybelline one that I've loved, and the Vichy Derma Blend powder I've loved. So I have mixed that up quite a bit, so I didn't pick one. But this would be my standout powder. Again, if you watch any of my tutorials, I always set under my eye with it. It's the YSL Soufflé in Rose number 01. And it's like a pink tone powder, so it helps again counteract the dark circles. So for me that would be my favourite under eye powder. It's huge, you'll never use it up, it'll last you, well, it will expire before you can even use it up really, so that would be a firm favourite for my powders. I've got another one which I can't show you. I will insert somewhere on the screen a picture for you, but my favourite blusher is this Marc Jacobs, is it called the Air Blush in Flesh and Fantasy. Now to any of you that know, inside the Marc Jacobs blushes they're like stripes of a lighter shade and a darker shade of blush. The Flesh and Fantasy is a very neutral toned, as you would imagine, with a flesh coloured blusher, and I've found it my most versatile blusher. The reason I can't show you is I very sadly smashed it. I managed to save it. I'll open it here, but I can't tilt it in any way, shape or form. If you can see that, you'll see. I literally smashed it to pieces. And I saved what I could because I loved it so much, and I really didn't want to. It was brand new, like I'd probably used it 5 times and I smashed it, and I just really didn't want to throw it away. You know, they're not cheap, Marc Jacobs, probably about, again, £30. So I have kept it, and I've just actually used it out of the pot, not when I travel with because it's smashed, but when I'm at home I just open it carefully and mix my brush in and still use it. So I do need to repurchase it, but this would be my favourite blush. There's been loads I've loved. Towards the end of the year I got the Tarte sort of blush palette that I featured in one of my Christmas videos, and I've loved using that. Obviously I only got that towards the end of the year, and that's got a load of different colours in, but if I was to pick sort of one distinct colour and formula that I've loved, it would be this. And I think because it's neutral toned, it means that if you've got a dark lip, you've got a red lip, you've got a pink lip, whatever you might have, it just goes. So that would be my number 1 blush. Then for eyes, there is only one palette that was going to win this. There were 2 runners up and they were great, and that's the Urban Decay Naked Heat, and I loved that, and the Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette, I loved that. This palette I bought towards the end of the year, and I didn't even think I wanted it. It wasn't something I'd been sort of like really like wishing I had online or anything like that, and I walked past it in real life in Selfridges and I swatched it, and it had to be mine. It is absolutely stunning. stunningly beautiful. The only negative I would say is this shade here, Cosmo, is quite a chunky glitter, and even with a glitter glue doesn't stick particularly well. You get a lot of fall down, but other than that, all of the other glitter shades are amazing. The shimmery metallic shades are so metallic-y, they're matte, are beautiful, they blend, and they're just my favourite. Warm toned shades, we've got, you know, a few more neutral colours here, you've got the orangey colours, you've got purpley colours, gold, just... I went to Dubai for 5 days and this was the only shadow palette I took. I know that might not be a long time to a lot of you, but when you love playing with makeup, trying to pick what eyeshadows to take can be so hard, and this was the only one I took. So that was definitely my palette of the year, absolutely. Then this was a new release this year, and I was kindly sent this by Influencer, and it has by far become my favourite mascara, and it is the Marc Jacobs Velvet Noir. I expected to hate it. The fact it came in this big chunky packaging made me think, big chunky wand, not going to work for my lashes. I'll see if you can sort of see that there. However, I was completely wrong. It's incredible. Right before the end of the year I'd had a lash lift. I think I said the end of the year, maybe October time. And because I'd had my lash lift, it meant I could be a lot more sort of versatile with which mascaras I use, because when they are not lifted I have to use waterproof, otherwise the curl drops, whereas I'd got my lash lift and this just made my lashes look amazing. I could layer it and layer it, they just got thicker but without clumpier, and darker, and they stood up and they looked longer. It was just a real standout, so I can't wait. I'd had individual extensions over Christmas and New Year. They've nearly all come off now. I've got some strip lashes on at the moment, but it means all my lashes are tiny little stubs. They're very wounded, so I'm back to using a lash serum, and as soon as they've grown a bit I'm going to get a lash lift. I cannot wait to be able to use that again. Then lastly we have lip products. I've left the one, I'm not going to go and get it, I'm sure you'll all know what it looks like. It's the MAC lip liner in Whirl. And that was my favourite lip liner. I know it's hard to pick because at the moment I'm in a dark lip, red lips, pink lips, you name it, I wear them. But the lip liner I've used the most would be Whirl from MAC for sure. And I thought it'd be hard to pick a lipstick again because of what I just said, all the colours, but to be honest it wasn't. And again, if you watch my videos, this won't be a surprise for you. Nars Audacious in Barbara. Look at that, I mean there's barely anything left. It is my most worn lipstick by a country mile. You know, I just think it's my perfect nude shade for me. I really, really enjoy wearing it. It's comfy on the lips, moisturising. It's opaque enough to not be like a see-through, wishy-washy like colour, which for me just doesn't work. Like, you know, just a sheer gloss just doesn't work. This is like a solid, it looks like a colour, even though it's a very nudie tone. It's quite you know, an orangey terracotta-y tone nude, which is much more what I wear than like a pinky nude. I love the way the packaging clicks, it feels so expensive, and so that was definitely my favourite lipstick. Then a few other bits I would just say that have really stood out to me. My favourite lashes have been the Fleur de Force with Eyelaw lashes in Fleur Loves. I'm wearing them now, they're definitely my favourite. So that would be another beauty favourite. And in terms of tools, my favourite range has been the Real Techniques Powder Blue brushes. They were incredible. I've now got the whole set and I really, really like them, love them, really recommend them. I think for, you know, drugstore brushes, they're amazing. They're as good as my high-end brushes, so that would be another beauty favourite. If you want a separate skincare favourite to talk through that, please let me know in the comments down below and I can get that filmed for you. And Happy New Year, please subscribe, give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Bye!